So today is an amazing day because I have with me Dr. Nina, who's gonna blow your mind. Dr. Nina is a powerhouse. Dr. Nina, take a minute, introduce yourself, and tell the people what you have for them today, please.
Sure. And thank you for having me and gracing this virtual podcast today. I don't take it lightly. And I checked out the podcast. I'm a subscriber and love what you're doing with It's Possible podcast and everything and the message that you're bringing. So I think that's very cool. So let me start with that. Now I'll
Excellent.
talk about me a little bit. So yeah, I'm Dr. Nina Jefferson actually, but I prefer just good old Dr. Nina. I am out here in Georgia. The doctor part. I've been in mental health for a little bit over 20 years. Do not date me on that, but I have been in the field for quite a while. And I have worked like across the spectrum, like from outpatient settings all the way to residential and traumatic settings. I've worked from 4-year-olds all the way up to like my oldest client was 98 years old. So
Wow.
I've seen like thousands of clients. And I say that because it has brought so much wisdom to me. Like I learned from my clients and their walks of life like give me a lot of insight too. So it's a blessing to help them, but it's a blessing to learn from them as well, right? So I love what I do. I'm a clinical psychologist, which is more diagnosing, assessment, recommendations, and then treating. So that's my mental health hat. And I still do that. I still work. Actually, I treat veterans and I love serving those that have served the country. So that is my mental health hat. I have expertise in relationship counseling. I'm what
Mm.
you call a level 3 Gottman therapist for anyone that looks that up. Sleep expert, cognitive behavior therapy. The list can go and go and go and
You're a
go.
powerhouse,
So
Dr.
that's
Nina.
mental health. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm also a mindset coach, right? A peak performance coach. I have Path to Alignment. That is my coaching business where I work a lot with transformation in your mindset and habits to get you where you need to be. And I started that business after some life changes of my own, right? And some
Mm.
things that I went through. So I'll share a little bit about that. There's people behind these degrees and these expertise, right? So uh, I was living the dream, right? My two kids and my point dog, your two kids and the dog and your husband and all of that. And I got divorced. And it was like a huge, huge wake up call. It was a huge
We're
wake up
coming back to this, okay?
call. Okay.
You being a doctor and working in healthcare for over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
Well, I can say thank you for the service you've given to
Thank,
the people.
thank you.
Yes, because being a doctor is like being a veteran, and it's just the same thing because you have to work sometimes in really adverse situations and give the best of you, right? So thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
As a doctor, you've been in real estate,
Mhm.
doctor, real estate, not an agent, but investor.
Yes. Yeah, they don't really go together, right? Yes.
So I'm trying to understand, like, how did you make the switch? It's not even a switch. You're still a doctor.
I am still a doctor and I'm still a real estate investor. Yes, that actually falls into that whole divorce transition. I
Mm,
um I lost the salary, right? And I was really trying to think of practical ways of how do you still take care of your two kids and they not miss a beat and you start securing generational wealth, right? Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of what happens. And that's really what opened my eyes into okay, entrepreneurship is one of those avenues that can do that for you.
mm-hmm,
I had a private practice before, I was kind of doing it part time, but this was different. So I was like, how do you do that? I lost the whole income. And I did a lot of research and had found, the most millionaires are actually in the real estate industry. And I was like, that's a very practical way to get there if you just have the gumption to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'm usually high achieving. I do pretty good when I set myself to something. And I just started learning from scratch. Like I took programs, I invested in myself, I got real estate coach, and I went out there and started learning and really found out how difficult entrepreneurship really is.
mm.
Right? I
Yes.
setback after setback.
Huh.
Yeah, honestly. But that is how I got into the real estate game, is because
Okay.
of that huge life transition for me. I was looking for a way to stabilize. Yeah.
I would want you to talk a little more about that, but before we get into the story, I'd like you to tell me, as a mindset coach, as a doctor, mental health and mental health, how does the mindset of a person connect with their success in business?
Man, it's everything, right? People
Mm,
say don't say everything, but it really is the foundation. It is the
okay.
foundation. There are different elements of business, right? You have messaging, you have marketing, and you have
Mm-hmm.
monetization, right? Like, how do you scale and how do you get automation so you can scale eventually? But
Mm-hmm.
the first part of that is mindset. That's the other
Yeah.
M that people don't really think about. And there's a lot of programs, right, that offer a lot of business programs, a lot of coaches out there, and it's good. We need those skills. We need marketing. We need all that stuff. But they either have like a little bit of mindset in there or none at all. A lot of,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then wonder why the people in their programs kind of flail out, right? Only a small percentage will get where they got to go, and that's it's because the mindset part is missing, right? If
Mm.
you don't learn to master yourself, you can't master your business, because your limiting beliefs will come out in your decisions, and your decisions will be limited. So you
Wow.
got to get to the root, and you got to work on you
Yeah.
so that you elevate your business. And that's it's crucial, right? This is where imposter syndrome comes from, and fear of failure, all the things that entrepreneurs kind of deal with, right? If you don't deal with you behind those things, they'll just keep playing out in your business in different ways.
Let's go a little deeper um, in this subject. Like, where is the mindset of a person coming from?
Hmm. Well, that's
What
a good
creates that
question.
mindset?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Actually, so what is mindset? Let's talk about that, because it's
Okay.
a
Yes.
buzzword, right? That's out there all the time, but we don't always really know what that actually means. So mindset, aka, is another word for like your programming. It's
Mm-hmm.
everything about you up to this point, meaning the way you grew up, right? Your values that have been instilled in you, that is a part of your mindset, all the way down to the community that you lived in.
Mm-hmm.
I went from Midwest to very small town, and that definitely influenced my mindset. The region of the world you live in. So I live in the South right now, whereas like maybe someone in New York, their mindset, their influences and impact is going to be different. And even we
Okay.
live in the USA, right? Versus someone that lives in another country,
Mm-hmm.
our lens is different based on our world experiences. And then you couple all that up, right, with your race and your ethnicity.
Mm-hmm.
That is mindset. It's everything about you in the lens in which you see the world through, is the way you program information. And each of us is unique in that. But in a
Hmm.
nutshell, that is mindset. It's like overall perspective based on everything you've experienced.
Wow. This is really powerful because what I'm understanding from what you're saying is sometimes we don't really have the power or the control over the things that happen in our lives because of the place we were born, the environment we are in, and the region, even the region of the country. Wow.
Exactly. It shapes your mindset, right? So
It
we may not have
shapes.
control over those things, like the way we grew up, those experiences, but at a certain point, we do have control over how it starts affecting us and what we're going to do about that, right? So that's the
Yes.
difference, right? Because some of it's good, some of it's fruitful, some of it's not, right? Some of it's not always
Yeah.
good. But then once you get to a certain point, you have to be at full cause on healing yourself and working on those limiting beliefs that have kind of stumped you, regardless of where you came from or your experiences, right? So that's where onus comes to us at a certain point.
I never thought about that because It seems what's going to save you from that is awareness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because sometimes people say, this is how I am. This is how my family is. This is how we are. But they're not aware of what's causing this and if they have an opportunity to change it.
Hmm. Blind spots, right? So I like to give this example.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I reject this for you. I'm not going to put this on you. I'm going to say a person, right? Say a person is starting to experience these symptoms, right? They're starting to urinate a lot. They're sleeping all the time. They're thirsty all the time. And then they're like
Mm-hmm.
tired for no reason. So they're trying to treat the symptoms, right? They're trying to get more rest and drink more water and
Mm-hmm.
like they're trying to treat the surface level things that are going on. They do this
Mm-hmm.
for a while. They do it for a while. Symptoms are still there. Like, okay. So eventually, right, those problems get so big that they're like, okay, let me go get it checked out. Right. So then they go seek an expert and they go to the doctor and they go, hey, A, B, and C is going on. Right. And then the
Mm-hmm.
doctor says, you have diabetes. Right. So now we have a name for this thing. And now we've gotten to the root cause of those symptoms
Mm-hmm.
that were showing up.
Yeah.
Right. Once you get to the root, you're like, oh, okay. Well, the doctor and I now we know we can research how to deal with diabetes. We know that's blood sugar problem, right? It's not the surface things you were treating, it was the root cause. You got to deal with that thing,
Wow.
right? So now it's like, okay, if I change my eating and my exercise to really deal with that blood sugar problem, it will help the diabetes and then those symptoms will subside. Mindset is very much like that example.
Oof.
Business owners are walking around with symptoms like imposter syndrome, right? I don't really know if I'm as good as I say I am, right? Like that kind of thing. And therefore they play it small, or they have a fear of failure or even a fear of success. And either way, it stunts their growth or stops them from trying. Financial insecurities, right? Like the fear of if I go out there on my own, right? I don't have that 9 to 5 cushion anymore. Like, what if it's like from feast to famine? Because entrepreneurship is
Mm.
sometimes like that, right?
Wow,
So we
Dr.
have
Nina,
all these
Jesus.
things, right? Those are symptoms, just like that. Those are symptoms. It's not the root. And what happens is, like you mentioned, like they're not aware. They're not aware that that's actually a symptom. So they just keep going, trying to deal with the surface level issue. And the root issue is the mindset behind those things causing problems in your business. And a
Oof.
lot of times, people don't even look at that or even feel like they need work in that area. And in all honesty, if you fix this, the other things will blossom. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, no, that's breaking some chain right here. Because here is what's happening in my mind right now. I'm seeing some people like myself. You may say that, okay, am I working enough? Why am I'm not being successful at this? Am I
Yes.
doing what I'm supposed to do? Like you're asking yourself a lot of questions, and you see you're not lazy. You do the work, but there is something going on um, down in your mind or something deep inside of you that is stopping you from
Yeah.
reaching the success that,
Yeah.
woof.
That is facts, right? That is facts. I mean, of course, you got to make sure you got the skill, right? So that's a whole nother thing. We need
Yes.
skills in our business. But most of the time, like if you've chosen to do a business, you have the skill set most of the time, right? Like for example, for me, I'm in coaching. I ain't know nothing about no coaching, right? At first, but I had the skill of I have 20 years in mental health and
Yeah.
psychology, and I'm certified in mastery mindset. But then I had to learn sales, right? I had to learn like how do you do marketing and all of that. That's a skill thing. That's different, right? But if your mindset around those things is like, well, I don't know how to talk to people, or what if they don't like me, or I don't want to get up, that's mindset, right? So you kind of have to know the difference of like, do you need to learn a acquisition of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
or are you stalling from a mindset position, right? And sometimes it's a blend. And that's why I feel like programs that miss mindset, they're really doing a detriment to the clients and their programs.
Hmm. Oof. That's powerful.
Doubt
So,
goes a long way. Doubt is a huge umbrella and it shows up in a lot of ways. So that, and then that's why I speak on going from doubt to dominance in entrepreneurship. It's so important.
That's exactly where I was going right now. Let's take from someone from doubt and then guide them to dominance. How would you do something like that?
I would say, let me probably be best to just use an example of like a client or two that I've had, just to give an
Okay.
example of what that looks like. Like, what does it look like in entrepreneurship? We're gonna call her Lady J. So I'm gonna
Okay.
call her Lady J. So I worked with Lady J, entrepreneur. She's in the wellness industry. We'll just keep it broad, right? But she already had a pretty decent level of success.
Mm-hmm.
When she came in with the symptoms, right? Not really knowing the deeper issue. And hers was more about, so it was wellness, and she had some medical stuff that had kind of impacted her image.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had this doubt in herself and kind of a little bit of imposter syndrome, regardless of her 10 plus years experience,
Yeah.
that she didn't want to be seen. So, and in entrepreneurship, her industry, you have to get out there, you have to network to get a lot of the deals. And what happened when she came to me was she was avoiding, right? So she was
Mm.
very busy, but she was purposely kind of, or almost unconsciously maybe,
Mm-hmm.
being busy with the wrong things, right? The things where she didn't have to go out and talk to people. She didn't have to engage. And then she also had like perfectionistic stuff, right? Feeling like I need to be perfect or look a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way. And so she just wasn't authentic when she went out. So this was causing avoidance and procrastination. And it actually was starting to cause her deals. She wasn't closing, right? She was starting to get stagnant in her business. So, that kind of thing. So we worked with her, we worked a lot on getting to the root cause of the doubt, right? Where was the doubt coming from? With her, it ended up being about she was out of alignment, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is actually why my business is called Path to Alignment, because it's like,
Okay.
so an alignment is like if your inner being isn't matching your outer being of the things you're doing, you are not in alignment. And if you're not in
Mm-hmm.
alignment, you're not fulfilled. And it'll show up in different ways. Right.
So,
So
so,
for
so
her,
you're shaking like a car without alignment, right?
yeah,
I'm just.
you need a tune up. You need a tune up, right? we need a mental tune up. Yeah, that exactly though. So we worked around a lot of her limiting beliefs, right? And a lot of it was around her identity and her mindset around what wellness looked like. And we had to actually reshape that, right? Of what that actually looks like now, what body image looks like now, um,
Mm-hmm.
what she means in her business now, as far as like
Mm-hmm.
her image and identity of wellness, and how her body and her medical issues had kind of shifted and changed that and everything. So we worked on a lot of limiting beliefs, right? We released a ton of negative emotions that she was dealing with overwhelm. And then we started working on habits. We got her back into successful habits of
Mm-hmm.
networking, but we had to work on the beliefs first, right? So she could feel comfortable with getting back out there, right? So it's a 3-month program. We worked on these things
Mm-hmm.
in detail, and we worked on work-life balance too for her, because that was a lot of issues going on too. So we dealt with the
Mm.
doubt. We dealt with the root of the doubt as with the heart of that in mind and in actions, right? And then this lady is doing her thing, right? She is out there. She's speaking. She's doing live events. She
She's
is
dominating.
networking. She back out there doing everything. And what happened? Income increased and clients increased, right? Because
Mm.
now she is in alignment with everything,
Mm-hmm.
and just doing her thing, right? But more importantly, she's fulfilled with what she's doing now, right? So we had to come full circle on that, but it showed up in that way.
Yeah,
That good is that. So that's one of the many examples of like how that shows up in entrepreneurs and how we work on that. And
that's
now that
good.
we got into the root, right? She's thriving in everything. She's doing great.
Hmm. So the part of doubt, someone may be watching right now and they have a goal, they have a dream. They always wanted to achieve something in life, but they f- they have doubt in their minds. They don't know where to start. They do know where to start, but they have doubt. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So what would you tell that person? Like, One, 2 words that would wake them up.
Oh, I don't know if I could do it in 1 or 2 words. If I had to do it short, I would say know
Yeah.
your why.
Know your
Know your
why.
why.
That's
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. 3 words.
3. Close,
Yeah.
right? Close. Close. Yeah. And I say know your why because it's okay to doubt. We're human,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're gonna have doubts. That's just human. But um if you know your why, right? Meaning you know your purpose, what
Mm-hmm.
you're called to do. So that's something bigger than you.
Mm.
And you're confident in your why, then the what is okay. Like you may doubt what's the next step. You can get skills, you can get mentors around that, right? To help you on the steps. But if you lose your why, the doubt will stay there, right? As long as you're
Yeah.
confident, like, I know I'm meant to do this thing. I know it to the root of my soul. Like, I know
Yeah.
I'm meant to do this thing, then that can silence your doubt. You just gotta have faith in that why, in that purpose, and then go into the practical steps to get there. Right. So if I had to shorten it, that would be it. Know your why.
All right. But was everybody made to dominate?
I would say
Like,
yes.
okay.
Yes, I would say yes. Now, does that mean you're meant to be an entrepreneur? No, no, not everybody is meant
Mm-hmm.
to do that.
That's right.
Not everybody's meant to do that, and that's completely fine. You can be fulfilled in whatever you're called to do. Everyone's not called to entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
but I think everybody is meant to dominate, dominate the circle and the influence and the purpose that they are called and meant to be on this earth. We all have missions for that. So
Yeah.
yes, I would say yes. When no one's meant to just be chilling. Like we should be dominating in what we're supposed to
Dominate.
do.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. You were created to dominate.
Yeah. If you know who
Why
you are,
letting doubt hold you back?
and as you say, because it's possible, right?
It's
It's
yes.
possible. It's very possible.
It's possible. Now, let me go back to behavior because most people that we have the goals, we have the dream, but our behaviors are not in alignment with what we want to achieve.
Mhm.
How would you help someone like that?
When your behaviors don't align up with your desires, kind of thing, like you have a vision or a dream, but you're not acting that out. That'd be the question for
Yes.
many of us, right? Um, let me give a few tips, if that's okay. I actually
Yes.
think if we take, there's about 4 of them. If we take these and you do them in chunks, then it should get your momentum going, regardless of what it is, right?
Okay.
So the first one, as you said, is awareness, right? If you're not aware of what you're doing, whether that's a behavior, you'd be surprised how many people aren't even aware of the behaviors, right? Like they can actually have the intention, but
Hmm.
kind of stay in the same cycle of life. Here's what I mean. You could say, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to start this business. Since we on entrepreneurship, right? I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
start this business. I know I'm meant to do blah, 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 right? So the dream is there, but then the actions don't follow. Part of that is straight up behavior. If you don't set small goals in between to help you get to the longer term gain, then you'll just go back to like your norm and baseline of living. You'll go back to doing what you know to do.
Hmm.
And how often do we go to like coaching programs, events? We get pumped up like that was great. Oh, I'm gonna do A, B, and C. And then like in 2 weeks, maybe a month, it's like, what was that thing?
Wow.
Right? It's because like the knowledge is there, but the actions don't follow. You have to start small steps, and those small steps will connect to the larger goal over time, right? And best thing to do is just schedule it out, right? You have to be intentional about that. So that would be one. Take your larger goal and take it in steps by month to month, right? If we're talking business, you should really be doing it. You should have quarter goals every quarter. You should have
Mm-hmm.
goals, right? That kind of get you to your 1 year goal, right? And every month you should be shaping towards that to get there. That's one thing. People don't schedule it out. They just talk the game and then they don't put things in place. So I probably stepped on some toes. I've stepped on my own toes with that, right? Ask me how I know, because I've been there, done that, right? So I know how to shape it, but that's one. So you got to recognize the problem, right? If you know that's you, if you know you kind of do that, you're not a organizer. You got to know your areas of weakness and strengths and play around them. So recognize the issue, then inch up towards and work on those things. Another one would be visualizing the success. People really, I would say people kind of throw that one in the trash. Like people don't really think about how important that is. But even great athletes do this, right? Like they actually visualize
That's
like
true.
winning, and because what happens is your unconscious mind is getting downloads, right? Once you visualize the things you would see, hear, smell, taste when you arrived at that place, and you really just really ingrain yourself in that imagery and say, I'm gonna get there in this much time.
Mm.
Your unconscious mind is like, oh, okay. Oh, okay, new program. We believe in that now. Oh, this is what we're going for. Because your unconscious mind is the go-getter. It goes to get what you just told it. Your conscious mind is the thinker, right? It
Mm.
is the one that makes the decision. So you have to feed the unconscious and visualize things to believe it, right? So I give you an example of the reason why we have so many role models, right? That's actually visualization. If we didn't have all these like Black models of excellence and
Yeah.
stuff, that actually helps to see it, to believe it, to know it's possible, right? That's an external example of visualization. It's like, oh,
Mm.
you have something to look for that they did it, right? So why not put the visualization towards yourself of things you can do and accomplish? So that's another one. And then having accountability would be another one, right? If you know, because I know me, I need it. Like I need it on certain things. Exercise for me, I need accountability. Right? So that's what I mean. You got to know your areas, right? You got to know what you need the accountability and mentorship
Hmm.
around. If you know this is something serious for you, and put accountability around that. Get you an accountability partner or get you a mentor that's maybe a few steps ahead of you that's going to help you go through that and hold you accountable to where you're trying to get to. So those would be the things I would say that can help you get you to
Hmm.
that momentum, put those behaviors in place.
That's powerful. As you were talking, it came to my mind. It seems like we have what I would call a baseline of ourselves in our mind. And we can get motivated for a moment and we leave that baseline and we come right back
Yep.
to that. So, how visualization, I believe, maybe one way we can change that or
Mhm.
create a different talk about this. I don't know what I'm saying. Just, you know.
You're
So,
talking real fine. Yeah.
so yeah, I'm just trying to understand that because it seems like we have an image of ourselves in our mind, and we want to stay consistent to that image. And even if it's to be successful, if we become more successful than what we perceive ourselves to be, we sabotage that and come right back. Well, is that, what would you say about that?
That's fear of failure and fear of success. See, all of it goes back to
Mm,
doubt. This is what I'm saying. Like doubt is such a broad
wow.
category of things that can happen in the business, right? On both sides. And I mean, I know I keep going back to it, but this is why transforming your mindset is just crucial at any stage of the game in entrepreneurship, right? That's why they call it growth mindset. You don't stop.
Mhm.
Like we never get to a point like it's like, oh, I'm arrived. I have 20 plus years in mental health and a mastery level mindset coach, and I still work on mindset. Like you never really stop. You're always growing, always learning, always sharpening
Always.
that. Yeah,
Hmm.
because then you get comfortable. And if you're stagnant and you're comfortable, you're not growing.
You're not growing. And I heard Tony Robbins said, if you're not growing, you're dying.
I agree with that.
Mm.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So let's go to you as being a real estate investor,
Okay.
as a doctor. how does that look for you? I mean, how does that work for you? How do you
It's
balance
crazy.
this?
It's crazy. It is crazy. So I would say, so the real estate part is still kind of in its baby stages. Like I've been doing that for 4 years.
Okay.
But so when I started though, talk about setbacks. Like when I started that, um, I had paid for this pretty expensive program to learn it, right? Because I was like, I don't know anything about this. And then actually got divorced right after that. So then I kind of
Mm.
took a pause because I needed to kind of get my life together. So by the time I got going again, COVID had
Mm.
started. And then the things that I learned were changing in the real estate game, right? So the things I just paid for and learned,
Yeah.
right? It was like changing. So I had to go ahead and pay for a coach. This is what I mean by like having a mindset of like flexibility and learning to roll with setbacks and go, right? Because that would have stopped and did actually because I had started with quite a few people. It stopped a lot of people from even just pursuing it. It's like we just learned all this stuff, and then it's
Hmm.
changed, and now what we learned is not working. So what do you do? And a lot of people just went back to regular jobs, just stopped that or just stopped it. This is what I mean by doubt, right? But I got
Mm.
a coach and I doubled down. I was like, no, I done invested in this. I know I can do it, kind of thing. And I went months, no deal. Bunch of money
Hmm.
in. I'm talking about thousands of dollars in, no deals.
Wow.
No deals. I lost some deals, no fault of my own, but like I lost some deals. And even my coach was like, yeah, like you kind of just having a hard spell. Like it's normally not quite like this. And he had been in this game. He's been in this game a long time. Even he was kind of telling me like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of catching some breaks. But there was something I get like a mindset where I get like just determined after I've hit rock bottom over and over.
Hmm.
Okay, like I'm tired of the failing pattern. Like it's no, like no, enough is enough. And I mean, I doubled down. So I was waking up early in the morning. This is how I balanced it. And at late at night, in between my job, working on the real estate. And then I outsourced and got a VA to help me with the real estate as
Hmm.
well, to kind of get that balance. And then all of a sudden, after many setbacks and lots of money in, I ended up with like 6 deals in that year. And for
Hmm.
me, working full time, that was actually good. I had actually made 6 figures, right, in that year in real estate, and I was like, it really gave me that, like, you can do this. If you can get through this
Hmm.
rough year, you
Okay.
can do this. So I had got like my first fix and flips, my first rentals in that year. But it was not without a lot of challenge, which is really what led me to the whole coaching program focused on entrepreneurship. Like I found out how challenging it is, right? How much you really have to use mindset to kind of get where you need to go, and really got passionate and wanting to help other people, right? Other entrepreneurs
Hmm.
when it comes to this. But yeah, so that's how I got into real estate, and I'm still in it now.
You're still in it. Do you teach people how to do that?
I don't teach it. No, I don't
Mm,
teach it.
okay.
I actually still keep training around me, right? We have to invest in ourselves. So I'm in a program like learning another way of doing it, because you always have to be on the trend of how to stay successful in anything
Hmm.
you do, right? So I'm actually in a program and they do have a mindset in that program, which I'm very impressed with.
Yeah.
So I'm in a program and I'm still learning, but I'm still moving in that too. So yeah.
Wow. So, as a single mom, how did you deal with having a job and then business owner, with your kids? How did you balance
Yes.
this?
Luckily, like their dad is extremely involved, right? So I am primary, so I have him through the school time, right? But he is
Okay.
extremely involved, so that actually helps. I'm a single mother. I have primary custody, but they have a very present father, so that
Okay.
that helps me a lot. And my kids are not babies anymore, so that helps. They're teenagers,
Okay. Okay.
so that helps a ton. So I'm able to like delegate out more, have them kind of do their part in chores a little bit more. My daughter
Yeah.
loves to cook, so I'm having her like cook 2 days a week and kind of balance that out, right? And then this is what I tell people: you have to have boundaries around each piece. Boundaries for the business, and you have to
Hmm.
protect that space. Meaning, This is your time that you're putting toward your business. You need to put that time toward the business. But then you also have to have a boundary around family. And it's like nothing breaks that bubble, not even business. So we have family nights, we have check-ins after school every day. We have ways that we have our family time every day, and we have family gatherings once a week,
Okay.
right? So we protect that time. Then you have to have time for, like, if you're in a relationship, you have to protect that
Mm.
and have time for that. And then the last one is you have to have time for yourself. And that includes, like, if you're spiritual, if you exercise, your wind down, your relaxation, whatever your self-care regimen, and just the things you enjoy. So if you don't make time for all of those, the business can really just take over your life. And then you're not fulfilled. Like, you're an entrepreneur, but you're really just working for yourself. You just,
Yeah,
like, traded it, right? So you got to protect all of those. Yeah, it's not easy. I can say I live by my schedule, right? To kind of make sure that everything has time,
that's
everything has been
right.
dedicated. So I kind of live by a schedule because of that. But it
It's
works for me.
powerful.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit about relationship because you're a relationship coach too,
Well, I'm a relationship expert
expert. But
in
you
psychology, but I'm not
okay?
coaching it. I'm not coaching it.
You're not you're not
Look, I'm
coach.
trying not to get
Okay,
no calls on
okay.
relationships right now.
Wow.
I do
Because
that. I do that for
somebody
the
may be
psychology
watching right
session.
now and they may be in a relationship or something like this, but they don't know if this is the right thing to do at that moment.
Mhm.
Or does this relationship align with their goals and dreams or something like that? What could cause someone to get to the point where they have a stable relationship, have kids, and to say, we can't keep on anymore and we need to separate or part ways?
Ooh, that's a whole nother podcast right there. That is a whole nother podcast right there. But
We leave that
I
for
will
another
say this.
podcast.
I will say this though, because even in business, like, this is actually a problem, right? When you're very high achieving, most people that have, like, are in entrepreneur, like, you are a high achiever, right? Like, you don't
Hmm.
kind of just decide you're gonna do this if you're not. And so that is one thing that I actually, people do come to me for, is a relationship has suffered so much, right, because of the business, or because of, like, their status in their business,
Hmm.
right? And it's so consuming that the relationship takes a hit, right? Which is why I go
Hmm.
back to saying you have to protect each piece. You
Yeah.
really have to protect the boundaries of each piece. But what I hear you saying is, what do you do if, like, you're kind of out of alignment in with each other on where you're heading, and, like, maybe your partner wants to do A, B, and C, and that's not really fitting with the vision of what you see where your life is going. The
Yes.
question I heard you say.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
And what do you do with that? There's no one answer response to that, you know. It really isn't. I would say, if you're early on in the relationship, this is a conversation most people don't have, that they should be having, right?
Hmm.
Kind of earlier on. I think we get caught up in, like, oh, he or she feels is so nice, and oh, it's so good. We don't ask about those things until maybe you kind of really gotten really deep in it.
Hmm.
Right. So if you're earlier on, I think that's something you should be exploring, is, like, are you guys actually aligned for a longer term thing? But if you find yourself, you're already in it, right? And you're kind of, like, very ingrained in it, and now
Yeah.
you're heading in different paths, which happens. It happens in marriage as well, right? Like, people change over time. What you hope is that you're changing together towards the same direction.
Mm. Yes.
But if you're not, then again, this is something, depending on if that relationship is of, I don't want to say value, because that's not what I really want to say. But if that relationship you feel is healthy and worth sustaining, is something that you want to keep, I'll put it that way,
Hmm.
right? Then it's more about negotiating, communicating, and trying to find a middle ground where both of you don't squash each other's dreams, right?
Okay.
How do you support each other's dreams, but still keep moving forward together,
Hmm.
right? If it's not healthy, that's a whole nother story, right? If you feel like
Yeah.
this person is, like, pulling you down, and kind of almost jealous. They don't want you to shine. They're dimming your light, right? They're not illuminating you. They are dimming your light. That is a problem.
That's a
Okay. That
problem.
is a problem. And that's one you really want to consider. Is that relationship worth even having? Right. And if you're in it and you seem to be settling for that, again, this goes back to a root cause mindset issue around you valuing yourself.
Hmm.
So I don't want to get too deep in all it, but
That's a
that would be
lot. I
my
mean, that, you
general.
know, because that even brings to my mind some competitions I have seen in couples. They're competing against each other in a
Yeah.
relationship. Well,
Yeah.
you'll come back,
That's a
Doctor.
whole other podcast right there.
Yeah, yeah. You'll come back,
But
but
I do agree that, like, I agree 100% that as an entrepreneur, like, our life is very impacted, of course, by that, right? And so your relationships and your family is very much impacted in that. And that's actually a part of my program too, is like working on your
mhm.
life, work-life balance with everything. You can't just put that in a bubble and work on the business, like, so it doesn't work that way.
Gotcha. So, what are the I would say the negative part of someone being in doubt? I don't know if the question is clear enough. Or what can cause in a life, what can being doubtful, that's how you would say it, cause somebody negatively in their life?
To have doubt.
Yes.
So doubt is a natural human emotion that we all will have, right? So it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, it doesn't necessarily mean this thing happened, and because you got damaged in this childhood, like, kind of thing, now you have doubt. It can, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that, kind of thing. So there is no, like, A equal B to get to the C of doubt necessarily. I would say everything from the way you grew up can sow that, right? But I've seen
Mm-hmm.
it both ways. And here's what I mean. I've worked with the person that has, like, low self-esteem because of their
Mm-hmm.
childhood, because of being bullied, because they didn't come from, like, the best home or have, like, supportive parents. Like, so that is definitely where the doubt came from, right? I've seen that, right? Because of the way I grew up, the community that I lived in, the region, the access of support or lack of it. Now I have, like, this just overall arching doubt. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
that. I've also seen high achievers, right, that aren't used to setbacks. Then they start entrepreneurship
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, wow, like, I'm not really used to failing. I'm not used to setbacks. I'm not used to things not going when I put it forth effort that it didn't go there,
Mm.
and still
Yeah.
have, right? Because doubt is
Okay.
just questioning yourself, it's hesitancy, it's not being sure, right? And then the doubt can either take root and start manifesting in other ways, right? Or you
Mm-hmm.
can, you can kind of let that go and reframe it, right? So there isn't necessarily like a one thing fits all. I think it's just events and situations that happen in our lives, and we either kind of accept that and
Mm-hmm.
internalize it, and then that's what sows the doubt. If you internalize the issue, now you have doubt, right? So if the failure in your business, AKA, equals I'm a failure, not that this thing, this business venture I just tried or this situation failed, now you've internalized it and now you got confidence problems because now you see
Mm.
yourself as a failure, not the business or like that thing you just tried failed. So you learn from that thing. Those are two separate things. So the minute you internalize it is where really doubt really starts growing and taking.
That's what I wanted to ask. By the way, English is not my first language. It's my fourth. So
Well,
that's why sometimes you
look,
may
I
not.
only know one, so who knows?
So
You
that's
take
why
the test with
sometimes
me.
I kind of struggle to get the question clear to you. But what I wanted to ask is compare the life of a person who's living in doubt and a person who's living in dominance,
Mhm.
right? So give me some key points of someone who's living in doubt. How can you see that in how can I see that in my life? to so diagnose myself to say, man, I'm living in doubt, or someone who's living in dominance. How can they? What are some key points that can say you're dominating?
Hmm. Dominating, would I would say, equals, it's going to equal growth, right?
Okay.
Whatever it is, whether it's business, whether it's a life thing you're doing, right? So I give you that. I was dominating in like personal growth for like 2 years straight. It wasn't about business. I was just so immersed in like I wanted to heal. You know, after such life transitions, I was like, I refused. I was like, I'm not gonna be broken from this. I'm not gonna be damaged from this. Like I have to
Mm-hmm.
heal, heal, heal. Right. And I mean, when I say I was dominating, I was in workshops. Did therapy. I did mindset trainings. I was so immersed and I was growing,
Mm-hmm.
constantly growing, constantly growing. Right. So I would say growth is kind of a key. Like if you see someone constantly growing, moving in whatever it is, they're
Mm-hmm.
likely in a dominating atmosphere or like mindset
Okay.
at that time for that thing, you know? And then I would say stagnation or
Mm-hmm.
settling would
Mm-hmm.
be a really good flag or indicator that you're probably having doubt on some part of the spectrum, right? Like doubt is such a big word that covers so many things. Like I said, like from imposter syndrome to fear, failure, and success to all kinds of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
you're probably stagnant, right? For a good period of time, because we're all sometimes stagnant, even when we're trying our best. Because sometimes it just takes time to move things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but if you start seeing that pattern kind of across, and that's kind of going on for a longer time than it should be, I would probably take a look deeper. I would almost bet there's some level of doubt, or more than one, in different parts that is holding them in that space, right?
Mm.
So I give this
Yeah.
say this one. This is like a quote I say. I feel so strongly by mindset. It is either your shackles or your freedom.
Hmm.
Period. So like if you have the doubt, it is shackling you. If you're in a like I'm going to grow, I'm going to learn, I'm going to do it, I can, you're in a dominating state, right? That is your freedom. Right? So like
Yes.
your mindset is either your shackles or your freedom. Only you can keep yourself in a box. No
Hmm.
one else can do that but you. Right? Despite like society, like like we are, I'm a black American, right? And so we all know like there are a lot of things that are can hold us back just as being a minority. Like you could use that and say, well, it's just hard. I'm only
Yes.
gonna be able to do so much. There's this glass ceiling as a black woman on my head,
Mm-hmm.
I'm only gonna be able to do. And I say, no, I'm putting myself in the box the minute I drink the Kool-Aid of what society tells me I can or can't be. That's a shackle. That is a
Hmm.
mindset shackle, right? So only you can put yourself in that box. We
I
gotta learn
remember
to
Les
go outside
Brown.
the box.
Yes. I remember I used to take classes with Les Brown, and he said that you can either use your story or your story can use you.
Facts.
So that's so powerful what you just said, right? So you as a as your status, you may say, because of this, I can't do that. Or you can use that to say, because of this, I must do
Must do
this.
that. That's a mindset shift, right? Exactly. And it, one
Wow.
word, right? Can't versus must.
Yeah.
It's just one word change. But if you mentally actually believe that, if you've reprogrammed it and it's not can't, it is now must, that's life changing. And we
Wow.
talking like that's life changing. Like that's life changing in your business. We talking millions life changing. It can,
Wow.
because if you stay in can't all your life, think about how much money, right? If we just think about it from an entrepreneur perspective, if you live in can't world, right, you missing millions through your life versus if you live in must. That
Yeah.
one word changed makes an income difference that can be generational wealth changing.
Yeah. Oof.
But you gotta
Dr.
believe it,
Nina.
right? You gotta believe it. You gotta believe that. So that's the difference, is getting to the root to actually believe that. And I
Yes.
went through my own journey of that. Like we have to actually believe that. That's the difference. That's a mindset shift. That's why I'm so passionate about it. As you can see, like
You are,
I'm
man,
so
from
passionate about it.
jeez, from doubt to dominance.
From doubt.
Yeah. So the advice you would give to someone living in doubt right now, it's time to dominate, right?
It is. It is time to dominate. That's the best advice I could give. Actually, the best advice I could give is take one step
Mm,
today, right? Like, stop saying, I'll do it later. Or when I get A, B, and C together, then I'll work on me. Do it now. Live
hmm.
in now. Stop putting it off. You'll look up and it'll be a year from now and you'll be saying the same thing,
Wow.
right? So do it now. That is the best way, because what happens with that is now you start actually downloading confidence, not doubt, right? Because now you're putting actions to what you just said. So you're telling your unconscious mind, oh, we're doing something different. We're not just, oh, I used to when I said something, I ain't do it. I knew I wasn't going to do it. So I ain't, now it's like, oh, when I tell myself something, I'm actually starting to do the thing or work towards the thing. Right now, you download something different on an unconscious level. Like, I'm
Hmm.
reliable, I'm accountable to myself. That's a whole nother
Yeah.
level. Yeah.
Wow. I like the way you say you download it. It makes me understand that both are available.
Hmm.
You can download confidence or you can download doubt.
Exactly. You can. You can. And we
Oof.
do. Every day we do. We have thousands of thoughts a day. We actually do thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. Right. And the way I best explain this is one side is winning. It's either positive or negative or objective. We don't know
Wow.
which one you got, right? But and so it's I always ask people, what record is playing in your thought life, right? Is it blues? Is it like negative, woe is me, the things are always wrong, nothing's right? Is it blues? Is that the record? Is that the kind of record you're
Mm,
playing, the music, the thoughts, right? That you're telling yourself, if we put it in themes, right? Is it positivity? Right? And even positivity, you got to be careful with, because if you just tell yourself, "I'm gonna make $1 million, everything is
yeah.
gonna be all right," like, and you don't believe it because it's just straight the opposite of
You're
what
not
you're feeling,
doing the
and it's
work.
not authentic. It's not gonna work. So objectivity is where you try to reside. Right? We want to be in the middle.
Mm,
We want to just see things for what they are, the good and the bad, and be very realistic on how you get from A to B. That's where you really want to be, right? Of course, we want
hmm.
to be positive, but your objectivity should be shaping that positivity to get there, right?
Yeah. Man, I was not ready for this.
Well, I'm happy to be on here today. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I learned a lot today.
Oh, great.
Yes, I learned a lot. So I will really be paying attention to my habits and my behavior.
Very good.
Yes, to really see the things that I do when I wake up, what time I wake up, and what I do, everything. Because I want to
Good.
be in the dominance part of it. I don't want to be in the doubt
Hmm.
extreme part of it. Yes, I want to dominate.
I want to give one practical tip for people to do that.
Yes.
Because a mental habit is extremely hard to catch, right? Like, if it was exercise, then physically, okay, I got to go to the gym and start working out and doing this, right? But you're trying to change your thinking. So it's like,
Hmm.
how do you consciously do that, right? Instead of just saying, oh, I know I need to think differently, and then you don't catch it, so you're just going about your day. So you just go back to your baseline. Is what
Hmm.
happens. It's really hard to do. So a practical way to do that is to do a thermometer check, is what I call, like, we're measuring our thought life every day. And you're doing mental reps. This is how you build the mental habit. So you would basically check it. And I would suggest people check it 3 times a day while they're
Hmm.
learning, because we're trying to build repetition to increase the habit, right? So 3 times a day, morning, noon, night, just check on your thoughts. We call it, in psychology, we call it metacognition. It's just learning to think about your thinking, to be
Hmm.
aware of what you're actually telling yourself through the day.
Wow.
And when you check that, people are so surprised at how negative they are. Like, once they start checking it, they're like, dang, like I really realized like I'm always more on the questioning side or the what if on the negative side.
Mm-hmm.
I really like today I just really noticed my thoughts was like really on the negative kind of side. So if you start checking in morning, noon, and evening, you'll catch it quicker so that you can go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and to do a little tune up, right? And reframe your thoughts, right? So that's one way to build the habits to start just being aware of what you're telling yourself, what record is playing. And then once you have that, you don't have to do a morning, noon, and afternoon. Like I'm at a point, I just recognize it, but I've been training in it for 20 years. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So now I just know when it's there. And you'll get to that point, but to get there, you have to practice it on a regular basis. So that's a practical
Excellent.
way to do that. Yeah.
Oof, powerful. So entrepreneurs, we need a mental tune up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's a hard, right? It's not the sexy thing that people talk about in entrepreneurship. We always talk about the freedom and the money and all of that, right? But we don't really highlight the setbacks and the challenges and the frustrations of entrepreneurship. And they're there and they're very, very common, right?
Mm,
There's ups and downs in entrepreneurship. And so we need that space. We need that the mindset space to work on those things and so that we can be the best entrepreneur possible, not just for us, but for our team too, you know. So you got to work on you to work to for your business to elevate.
that's good. So you can have the skill set. If you don't have the mindset, you're not going to be successful.
That's good. And I would say you would probably only just go so far. Like you're going to get stuck at a certain point, right?
Mm,
If you have really good solid skills, but your mindset is kind of lacking, you're only going to go so far.
mm.
You're going to get stagnant at a certain point, and it's going to be about mindset, especially if you
So
have the skill
so
set.
two people with the same tools will do different things depending on their mindset.
100%. Can I give one more example?
Go ahead.
Like I said, I'm in a lot of stuff myself, right? I learn, I grow, I invest in myself. So I was in this coaching program where they had like this done for you segment of it on sales, like marketing for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were in a meeting, a group meeting, and the guy had all these leads in his queue, right? And we got back the next week and he still hadn't called the leads. He hadn't reached
Mm,
out to the leads. And so the coach, was kind of like checking in on what's up with that kind of thing, right? And when we got to the heart of it, he finally admitted it was about doubt. It was about
mm.
mindset. And to the point he was procrastinating and avoiding even
Yeah.
doing the making the you got leads. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this is the thing you're trying to get to is clients so you can impact change. Right. And he couldn't even do it because of the mindset shackle.
Wow.
Right. And so that's what I mean. Now we're all in there. So, like you said, same access to the skill set. The skill was there. We're getting the marketing, getting the leads, but he wasn't closing anyone because he wasn't making the calls because of the mindset limitation. So, yes, two people, same thing. But if the mindset ain't there, you can have very different outcomes.
It seems like I was in a free therapy session today. Thank you. So I have to pay you. I'm sorry, but
Oh man, I'm happy to be here. I love talking about it and bringing awareness to it, honestly, because I do feel
yeah,
like entrepreneurs don't look at this right closely enough and really don't realize how much it's actually costing income in people's business.
it
Right,
is.
you're losing money because you've lost yourself, really. Right, you don't even realize that. And so it's important. So I like to voice it. So thank you for giving me a platform to like bring awareness to people to maybe people are realizing like maybe I do need to take a closer look at this
Oh
thing.
yes, yes, of course, everybody. So how can people find you?
Yes. So first I have a free goodie, which I know you'll be dropping in
Oh yes,
here.
okay.
So I have a free roadmap to entrepreneur success kind of case study guide that I'll be dropping. So feel free to download that and that'll put you into like emails. I give a lot of actual value in my emails a lot actually, and everything. So feel free to download that. Like that would be helpful for people. But to get in touch with me, I'm on most of the platforms. I am Dr. Nina, so I am Dr. Nina on Instagram and TikTok. And you can find me by my business name, Path, the number 2, Alignment, on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Excellent. And I'll have, if you allow me to have your Instagram under the video so that people can just click and reach
Perfect.
out to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be perfect.
Yeah,
And
because
anyone interested in like what I do, right now I do free mindset consultations. So, feel free to reach out. I can put that in as well if you like, just if people want to schedule with me, feel free to do so. And I am very passionate about this 12-week program that I'm doing for entrepreneurs
I
working
can
on,
tell.
working on yourself to work on your biz. So yeah, reach out if you got any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Nina, for giving us this time. It's over an hour already, but it felt like it was like 10 minutes or something like
Time is
this.
flew by.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Really
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
that you took the time to be on the show today and that you add a lot of value to the people who will watch the video. So yes, I hope I can have you back.
Oh,
Um,
anytime, anytime. And thank you for what you do. Your message is important. And I love that it's about mindset. Like it is. Like it's possible.
yes,
It's
it's
a
possible.
mindset reframe in itself. Right. And so
Yes,
I thank you for stepping into your calling, right, and your purpose to put the message out there to sow seeds and help make change for people. So, thank you for what you're doing as well.
excellent. All right, everybody, thank you very much for watching the video today. So Dr. Nina was with you, and it's possible. Be blessed.